In this video, we're going to get a few things installed, including the engine stay brackets, the bumper bars, the other passenger seat, and a few other bits and pieces. Alright, so the way the seats are held in on this Moke, you have a couple of captive nuts on the actual seat support beam, and the seat can go in two separate positions. So at the moment this particular seat is in the backwards position. It can go about that much, or it's obviously that distance, that much more forward if it needs to. So it can still move forward. And then depending on what position you have it in, it'll either use these two bolts or these two. Okay, so just to demonstrate the positions, so if the seat was to go forward a bit more, that's sort of the position that it would be. That's probably useful if you've got the rear seat installed, but I'm not installing the rear seat right now, and the actual leg room, I'm 5'9", and I still find it more comfortable to have it back in that position. Okay, so when you're putting the bolts in, it's probably best to just hand tighten them all in first, just to make sure everything is fitting in as it should. When you're doing the rear bolts, what I found actually easier to do is just slide, and it depends on what seats you have. If you have these ones, you can do this. So slide that cushion forward, and it gives you a bit more room to sort of tuck. You can sort of see where the bolts need to go, and it'll allow you to get the socket in afterwards as well to tighten them up. Okay, so let's get started on the seat belts. As you can see, I've already done the passenger side, and the type of seat belts that these are just the lap seat belts. Obviously, because I don't have a roll cage, I'm not going to have a lap sash type seat belt. So the stalk attaches there to the tunnel, and then the other main part of the seat belt attaches to the sidewall where that reinforcing plate is. So with these seat belts, the way it works, depending on the application and how it's getting installed, things get mounted a bit differently. Now these seat belts, they're actually manufactured to order. So the Mini supplier I got them from, they obviously order in bulk so many sets, and they're designed for specific vehicles. The other thing too is, depending on how you're mounting the part of the seat belt, so this section here is for lap seat belts, the stalk only uses a bolt, a spring washer, and then it bolts to the tunnel. And then the main part of the strap there's a few different washers that have to go into place, and they all come in the kit, and new bolts come in the kit as well. Okay, so I'll install the stalk first. We just need to undo that cable tie. And what I want to do is, it'll straighten itself out. Just have to slide it between the two because otherwise it won't fit. And I'll just sort of get it on there first, and then we'll worry about the position. But they can't exactly go side by side. There's just not enough room. So one will always be higher than the other. So I've got the bolt and then the spring washer. Okay, so that's how they sort of sit. They're not going to go exactly side by side, because one is always going to overlap the other because of the way the stalks are. These stalks, or the kit I purchased, they're the ones which are 400 millimeters or 40 centimeters long, the stem. I know Mini Sport, that's the supplier I got them from. They sell two different versions. So there's another one I believe is 45 centimeters, so it would come up a bit higher. So if you're using the other style seat, which is a bit thicker, the Tombstone style seat, you might want to go for the larger ones, but for this style seat, the 400 millimeter length stem is perfect. Alright, so the next part I want to install is the main strap. So what I'll do, I will just strap in that end there so it's not banging around on the floor. The upper end of that seat belt, this end here, you'll notice that there's a bit of a taper on that bracket. That side gets installed to the actual wall of the vehicle. Check your instructions because there are some differences depending on what manufacturer, what parts you got and so forth. Alright, so the way this kit gets installed, there is a spring washer that goes on first, then you have this spacer, then a plastic washer, and then the seat belt. This piece here then goes on next, and then the bolt goes through and bolts everything together. Alright, when you tighten them up, there is a manufacturer Torx setting. They specify 25 to 30 foot-pounds or 35 to 40 newton meters. Okay, so we're going to install some mud flaps. These are the ones I've got. These are just like generic ones which are used on a trailer. Although they do look a bit ugly, they're just there for now because you can spend $200 getting genuine ones which say Moke on them, but just for now that's what I'm going to use. So what I need to do, because any product like this, the holes never align properly, so in order to mark it, I'm just going to use a bit of masking tape, and I'll just stick that on there, and then what will happen is when I hold this to where I want it to go, there's like a little ridge and I'm sort of just centering it, making it go on there. Now when I draw the pencil lines, they're going to be visible, whereas because it's black plastic, I don't have one of those paint pens handy at the moment. Alright, so what I need to do is just take it to the bench and then drill those holes. Alright, all done.